Virtual summits are the most powerful online marketing tool available to grow your list, launch your platform, make more money, and create an impact in the world, even if you're just getting started. If you are ready to take your summit to the next level, then tune into the Virtual Summit Podcast with Dr. Mark T. Wade.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mark T. Wade, founder of Virtual Summit Software and creator of the One Day Summit Formula. And I'm on a mission to help you, the summit host, get your summit out to the world in a powerful and impactful way. So let's get started. I'm going to show you how to successfully launch your online business in one day, even if you have no audience, no budget to start that, and more in today's episode of the Virtual Summit Podcast. Hi, I'm Dr. Mark T. Wade, founder of Virtual Summit Software, creator of the One Day Summit Formula. I'm a postural neurologist with 2 doctorates and 50-some certifications who walked away from his clinic because I saw an opportunity to help the world. I personally believe that virtual summits are not only the best way to quickly grow your list, launch your platform, and make more money, but they're also creating something much, much more important, and that's a positive change in the world. Every summit that is launched helps hundreds, if not thousands of people who are suffering gain access to the solutions of their problems from some of the world's brightest minds whom they may have never had access to otherwise. So I'm on a mission to help you, the summit host, get your summit out to the world in a powerful and impactful way. So let's get started. All right, so in this episode, we are going to be going through something that is near and dear to my heart and probably one of my favorite things ever when it comes to summit, and that's the One Day Summit Formula. So we're going to get into that and much, much more. But before we do, I just want to remind you, if this is your first access or first time seeing the Virtual Summit Podcast, I highly recommend you go back to episode 1, check that out, because that's going to let you know how you can get the most out of this podcast. It's also going to let you know how you can consume this podcast best, as well as where to access all the additional resources and all the goodies that we have awaiting and available for you. Additionally, I'm going to be dropping a lot of gold and gems on this episode. You may want to grab some access to the links or resources or PDFs, things like that I mentioned. You can do that over at the show notes, and that's going to be located on podcast.virtualsummits.com/6. All right, so let's get right into this. What is the One Day Summit Formula? So this is an entrepreneur's proven formula to quickly grow your list, launch your platform, and make more money, even if you're just getting started. And so let's kind of talk about what it is. It's a one-day pre-recorded event that very specifically solves an acute problem in a very short amount of time while building a relationship with new subscribers. Typically, it's between 5 and 16 speakers over the course of a single day. Although it does not have to be a full day in length as far as the time, it can be as short as a few hours even. Now, think of a series of very short master classes that are solution-focused, pre-recorded with experts on them that gives a specific solution in a guaranteed amount of time. So also, I'll just throw this out there for those of you who are going to want more information and get started with this. You can actually get my One Day Summit Formula PDF and strategy guide, which we're about to go through here in just a second, over at the show notes, podcast.virtualsummits.com/6. And so that'll actually have the mapped out formula as well as a strategy kind of guide or worksheet where you can fill out your own One Day Summit strategy. So how is a One Day Summit different? So the main difference between a one-day summit and a multi-day summit is obviously the amount of time. A multi-day summit is a minimum 3 to 14 days with 30 to 80 speakers, where a one-day summit can have as little as 4 or 5 speakers in a single day. Now, in some instances, like a premium one-day summit, you could even do this with 0 speakers, which would never be possible for a multi-day summit, for example. Now, the purpose of a one-day summit is to solve a problem and build a relationship with a cold audience. Again, I repeat, solve a problem, build a relationship. It does this by overcoming the obvious issue or elephant in the room that's occurring all over the world today, which is a lack of attention span. As I mentioned previously, it doesn't need to be a full day in length. That's just the amount of time that they have to access the information for free. It can be as little as 2, 3, 4 hours, or as long as you really want it to be, as long as they can quickly and easily consume it in one day. Now, you get all the same benefits of a multi-day summit, like list building, launching a platform, making money, networking with influencers, but with much, much less work and less risk. A one-day summit can be created in as little as 30 to 60 days versus 6 to 9 months for a multi-day summit. It has less speakers, it's got less moving parts, less overall items that are needed to be created, so it makes a one-day summit pretty easy and strategic. Now, in my one-day summit formula online training program, I say for most entrepreneurs getting started, I highly recommend starting off with a one-day summit. It will for example, a multi-day summit. It will give you that experience you need of building a summit with, again, the less risk, which is super important, and less work or stress, but still similar results and benefits. Now, then after you've done like 1 or 2 of these one-day summits, you'll have the experience you need to successfully tackle a full multi-day summit. Now, let's have a quick word from our sponsor.
Virtual Summits software makes hosting a summit easier than ever. The only software in the world designed specifically for hosting a summit lets you set up a summit in a matter of hours with no tech skill or team needed. You can try out the Virtual Summits software free at virtualsummits.com. But hurry, this is a limited offer.
Multi-day summits, when performed correctly and to the maximum, can generate far more leads and income really than an initial like one-day summit, but they're very appealing in that sense. So multi-day summits are really appealing when you're wanting to orchestrate this huge kind of massive event that's going to bring in, if done successfully and correctly, a massive amount of exposure and leads as well. Now, it takes a significant, much more amount of time and a lot more risk if it doesn't hit or go correctly with a multi-day summit. Plus, you've tapped also, this is one of the also important factors, if you tapped most of your connections and networks, so you're going to be limited on partnerships for the immediate future with a multi-day summit. Like if you have 80 speakers on there, technically if you got 80 speakers, you probably had to contact 300 or 400 to get those 80 to say yes and interview. So it means you've probably tapped most of your network, and you're going to be limited on people you can contact in the immediate future. With a one-day summit, you can be strategic and tackle specific issues to attract qualified, engaged leads instead of being general and generic. And you can give a much more personalized experience to those leads, which is where honestly everything is going and super important. A one-day summit becomes the beginning of your customer journey as you solve a problem and build a relationship. So let's actually kind of talk about the history real quick of the one-day summit formula and how it was invented. So when I was first getting started into online business, I was wanting to help more patients as a healthcare professional. I tried everything, webinars, lead magnets, you named it, ebooks, you name it. I've tried it and I was failing at all of it. I was starting to get a little discouraged and close to probably wanting to quit and give up and just go back to, my practice, my brick and mortar practice, when I heard my buddy Pat Flynn on a podcast interviewing someone about virtual summits. As soon as I heard it, I was like, this is exactly what I'm trying to do. I want to help the world. I want to solve their problem and reach more people. So I set out to try and create an actual multi-day virtual summit. However, I was just getting started in online business, so I really didn't have any influence or authority. I had very few connections and very limited resources. So in the end, I was actually only able to get 9 speakers in total, and 2 of them were me and my business partner. But I said, whatever, let's go for it anyways and just make it one day instead of 7 days. Now, this was back around like 2016, I believe it was around then. And at the time, I didn't realize I was creating anything special because I wasn't like trying to teach or you show this to anybody. I was just doing what all of us entrepreneurs do, and that was be resourceful. Like I was trying to grow my business, and I had to be resourceful. So when I went ahead and pulled it off, and the one-day summit was honestly the jump start to my entire business. Like it was a success. I think we generated around 5,000 leads and made around $32,000 just from that one-day summit. And then we ultimately turned that into a certification. We took the summit and turned that information and created a certification around it, and it became our first $1 million certification. And then from there, we stemmed off into several other certifications, and within 18 months, we had a multi-million-dollar business, and we continued to use one-day summits throughout the year, alternating between those and multi-day summits. So my entire business was built and grown on summits. We would run 2 to 3 multi-day summits, virtual summits, and we'd run anywhere from 4 to 8 one-day summits. And we still do that right now. Every year, every quarter, we are launching either a one-day summit or we have multi-day summits. So that's when I started. And then after that, I started helping other entrepreneurs implement summits as they started, as we started to gain our success, people obviously come to you and ask, how did you do this? I'd start to tell them. And then obviously I eventually built the software for my company to be able to run our summits on them so I could get rid of the $10,000 expense and not need the 4 full-time VAs that I had to run all of our summits. The virtual summit software honestly solved all of that for us. But of course with that, we eventually had people asking how to do it, how to use it. And so I and then as I was teaching people, I was teaching them how to do a traditional virtual summit, because most people, that's what they wanted, was a multi-day summit. But I realized pretty quickly that for most, especially newer entrepreneurs, but just honestly, many entrepreneurs in general, a multi-day summit was just too much for them at the start, especially for them to handle on their own without any kind of real training or anything like that. So I started teaching others how to do the one-day summit, and poof, it was an instant success. Everybody loved it. They started getting more results. Anybody could implement it. And then over the years, of course, I perfected the information and the formula. I even created this online training program called the One Day Summit Formula Training Program, which has been a huge success. And then the trends quickly caught on over the past year or two. And now one-day summits are being implemented all over by new and seasoned entrepreneurs. I even saw AWeber, for example, do a one-day summit not that long ago because of the simplicity, versatility, and effectiveness. And honestly, because it overcomes the problem with attention span. It's kind of like a proud father moment to see something you've created spread throughout and help so many people. So that's how the One Day Summit was originally invented. Now, what are the benefits and why run one? Well, they're quick and easy to run, so that's a big one right there. You can still generate a great list of engaged, qualified subscribers. It's a self-liquidating offer, which means the summit will essentially pay for itself. That's very rare that when you're doing lead generation out there, on paid ads, that your offer pays for itself. Usually you're looking at okay, it's going to cost me $5 or $10 for lead acquisition. I'm going to try and have an upsell to lower my costs on that, but hopefully I'll be able to sell them into a program and then everything will be great. Well, with a one-day summit, the people that opt in, so even if you're running paid ads and let's say your lead costs $5 a lead, and they go into the summit, your summit typically pays for itself because it will generate income from people upgrading to the paid membership or the paid program. So it's also a perfect way to prime any additional promotion or campaign you have coming up. So that's a huge one as well. So let's get into setting up your one-day summit strategy. Again, I have an actual strategy guide that you can print off and write out your strategy. You can get that in the show notes over at podcast.virtualsummits.com/6. So this super important part, the one that I typically see messed up most frequently is that of the theme and topic selection. So it feels counterintuitive to us, but the more specific and niche you go, the more success you will have. You will generate more qualified and engaged leads that will be ready to go further with you on your customer journey. Now, we think if we go generic, we'll attract more people, but they're not going to be qualified, and most won't actually even opt in. So for example, if I talk about online marketing, yes, that's valuable to a lot of people, but most people are searching or even know what they need or what they want in the topic of online marketing. They don't want online marketing. They want something super specific, like, for example, email conversion or mini chat opt-in sequences. It's much more targeted, and people who are acutely searching for that solution will be much more quick to opt in and go further with you. So I break it down into a few phases. You can write this down now if you have availability. If you're at the gym or driving, just make sure you go over to the show notes and grab that download so you can map this out on your own. But you have your phase one, which is your main category. So what do you do or what do you identify as? Either one. Next is the subcategory. So what do you do there? Well, like under what you do, there's obviously several things. So for example, with marketing, there's like Facebook ads or Google ads, email marketing, etc. So you're going to pick one subcategory. Now, this is specifically for this one-day summit that you're creating, okay? It doesn't mean you're only going to focus on this forever in all your business. You can do a different one-day summit in a different target or a different subcategory. It's just you've got to get super specific to attract these quality engaged people into this one-day summit. So now that we've gone through the main category, subcategory, now we need to get into the specialty. So underneath that subcategory, we have specialties, okay? So with Facebook ads category, for example, so we went marketing, Facebook ads as the subcategory. There's going to be specialties under Facebook ads like lead generation, there's retargeting, there's custom audiences, there's chatbots, etc. So pick one specialty. Now with that specialty, we need to get into a niche and get super specific. Who are you going to be targeting? Is it dentists, chiros, attorneys, stay-at-home moms? I mean, depending on your topic, obviously, but get super specific. Now, because the more specific our language in One Day Summit, the higher our conversions and the more engagement we get from our audience. So the topic or the title is going to be based around, now that was the theme, the topic and title are going to be based around this next point. So you really need to know who your avatar is. Like you really need to know that, because with that, you now need to determine what is their number one biggest problem. Like what are they acutely searching for right now? If you don't know or can't really decide, write out 3 of problems they have. Sometimes for whatever reason, it's easier to do this. So write out 3 and then choose one. Or another obvious option is you can do a poll or survey to your list or in a Facebook group. So the more acute and painful the problem, the higher the conversions will be and the more likely they will progress through your customer journey. So your title is going to be based around or on this specific problem. Now, don't worry about getting fancy or making it sound sexy. Just stick to the pain point and be clear what it is and what will be solved. Because sometimes people try and make it sound all cute and sexy or interesting or fancy, and then people don't really know what it is. And if they're confused, they're definitely not going to opt in. So make sure it's super targeted, super specific, and super clear. I think this would be a great opportunity to give a shout out to our sponsor, Virtual Summit Software.
Be sure to check out the speaker management tool inside your Virtual Summit software, which lets you quickly and easily recruit and manage your speakers on your virtual summit, literally eliminating hundreds of hours of work. Get more information at virtualsummit.com.
So now let's get into the teaching sessions. We got our theme, we got our topic, we got our title. Now we need to have our theme, topic, and title. That takes us to our next step. It's going to be the main. So now that you have your main problem that you're basing your one-day summit around, now you're going to list out the top most important solutions or information that your attendees are going to need to know to learn in order to solve this problem. So list these solutions out. Now these solutions are going to be your summit sessions. You can either teach them yourself and not use any speakers, which you would never be able to do on a multi-day summit, but you can totally do on a one-day summit, or you can find speakers to participate who can teach on these topics. And I'd say this is important. If you're trying to do a list builder, if your objective is list builder, having speakers is important because you can target their audiences and it helps generate more leads. If you're doing a monetization strategy, you're going to be running a premium summit. It doesn't matter. You could do this by yourself. So you're running that to your own list. You could do this by yourself, or you can use other speakers as well. Now, being super specific like this increases your chances of getting high-level speakers to participate. So if your solution that you're reaching out to them is in their zone of genius, it increases the likelihood of them saying yes, speaking on your summit. So like if you reached out to me and you said, hey, Mark, I want you to teach on the topic of podcasting. Well, obviously I have a podcast, but that's not my zone of genius. That's not where I want to teach. That's not where I spend my time. So the answer is probably going to be no. But if you reach out to me and say, hey, Mark, I want you to teach something on the one-day summit formula, I mean, that's an easy yes for me. So reach out to the speakers it's in their zone of genius, get clear on the solution. That's going to help you do that. So now you got your theme, your topic, your title, and your speakers. So you're pretty much ready to rock out your one-day summit at this point. So we walk through more specifics of narrowing down these, the aspects and speaker recruitment in my online one-day summit training program. But for today's episode, just so this doesn't turn into a 2 or 3 hour long episode, this is going to be a great start for you to get started. And again, if you go grab that, the one-day summit formula strategy guide, you can get that over in the show notes, podcast.virtualsummits.com/6. You're going to be able to walk through that there. So how do you structure it? Like, how do you structure your one-day summit, and what are the actual components of a one-day summit? So let's just quickly run through those. So first off, the stages of a one-day summit are going to be your pre-summit, your summit live, bonus day, which is optional, last chance, the turn, Ever Summit protocol, and then also there's 5 specific email sequences, but we'll kind of get into that a little bit later. So let's go through these stages real quick. So the pre-summit stage includes the registration page for people to opt in for your one-day summit. Then you have the thank you page and probably an upsell page. Usually those are actually combined. So at this point, you would start the forward-facing and the countdown email campaigns, and we're going to clarify these later, but I just want to let you know it's in that stage. The Summit Live stage includes, obviously, the Summit Live page, which is going to have your Summit homepage, your speaker pages, your bonus pages, sponsors, resources, etc. Email campaigns are going to be your Summit Live sequence and any bonus day sequence you got going on. So the post-summit stage includes mainly the email campaign sequence to your attendees to upgrade them from the free access to one of the paid levels, giving them ongoing access to the summit. And just right here, I'm pretty sure I clarified this, but with a one-day summit, just like a multi-day summit, if you're doing a list builder strategy, your one-day summit is going to be free for people to opt in and access the information during that day that it's available. And then it closes down, and the goal is to get people to then pay to have ongoing access. You also throw in additional bonuses in there. So just like a multi-day summit, it's free to access. You're going to have these pre-recorded videos, but are going to be released on a certain day and time. And then at the end of that, it's going to be closed down, and then people can upgrade or pay or purchase ongoing access to those videos or teachings. We'll get into the different strategies, but of course there's the monetization strategy, which is people have to pay to get access. But most commonly, one-day summits are done free. So we just went through the pre-summit stage, the summit live, post-summit stage. Now the turn is the next step this is going into your next promotion or campaign that you've got aligned with your one-day summit. So this is where your customer journey is going to continue and the monetization phases begin. You should always have your next campaign primed. Most often, you actually build your one-day summit in alignment with a campaign or promotion you already have. So this is another common mistake I see as people, entrepreneurs, create a one-day summit, but they don't have anything after it. Like, a one-day summit is great to create an engaged, qualified list of an audience that has a relationship with you, that are going to be willing and ready to purchase from you. But if you don't give them anything within a relatively short amount of time, they're going to end up getting cold and moving on to something else. So you should always have this kind of planned out. So, and again, you would probably build your one-day summit out in alignment with that. So the Ever Summit protocol is the last kind of stage or phase, and this is how you set your summits to run ongoing forever, to be the beginning of your customer journey, essentially ongoing. Now, the Virtual Summit software, good point here. Virtual Summit software actually has the Ever Summit feature that can make all of that happen with just one click of a button. So it's pretty phenomenal. Again, you can get, if you're interested, you can get access to my one-day summit formula PDF and starter guide over in the show notes, podcast.virtualsummits.com/6. Okay, let's get into email sequences. So this can be as complex and complicated or as simple as you want it to be. I've seen complex email campaign strategies crush it and then others bomb. It really comes down to how specific and direct you can be with who you're talking to. Okay, like we've talked about, this is super important, and that goes back to knowing the problem, who you're serving. So I've seen short email sequences perform just as well. Remember that attention span is that elephant in the room. So we go through these in a lot more detail in my One Day Summit Formula program, but we can get into the important aspects of it here just so you've heard of them and you've seen them. But there are 5 specific sequences that you should have in your One Day Summit. So the 5 email sequences or campaigns are going to be the forward-facing, the countdown lives, the countdown sequence or the early bird sequence, Summit Live, last chance sequence, and then the turn. So the forward-facing and the countdown sequences are going to start at the initiation of the attendees registration. So the forward-facing sequence is actually your indoctrination campaign. This sequence has one purpose, and that is to connect with your audience, to make them aware of the mission you're on, who and how you serve, and to get them inspired to join you on that journey. This campaign can be anywhere from 4 to 10 or even more emails if you want it to be, because it doesn't really matter when they get them because they're not specific to the summit. It's all about the mission you're on. Now, the countdown sequence, which can also be called the early bird sequence, gets started when the attendees register. This is specific to the summit. It gives them the information they need to be successful with the summit, lets them know who is going to be on the summit, and any information they need to prepare. It can also include the early bird sales offer that urges your attendees to take advantage of a purchase opportunity. Now, it can be anywhere from 3 to 7 emails usually, or longer, kind of depending on how early you begin promoting. But honestly, like shorter is probably a little bit better here. The Summit Live email sequence is typically 3 emails that go out while the summit is live. The first is to let the attendees know that the summit started. The second lets them know that the second session is starting and then starts to urge them to upgrade and purchase. The final email goes out a few hours before it ends, letting them know it's wrapping up and increasing urgency to upgrade and purchase. Now, the last chance email sequence includes 2 to 4 days of emails twice or 3 times a day, depending on your preference. And it's all about urgency, getting the attendees to upgrade and purchase. And then finally, the turn, that's the transition between the summit into the next email sequence, which starts your next promotion. Now let's have a quick word from our sponsor.
With the EverSummit feature inside the Virtual Summit software, you can rerun your summit as if it were live, ongoing forever with one click of a button. This now lets you continue to use your summit forever, bringing in qualified and engaged leads every month into your business. Get more information at virtualsummit.com.
So moving into what can you do with the one-day summit other than just list building and monetization? Because I talked at the beginning of this episode how versatile and how powerful the one-day summit is and how it can be implemented into any campaign in your business. So I want to talk now about our plug and play strategies, or my plug and play framework. So the one-day summit is a perfect strategy for increasing the results of almost any promotion or campaign in your business. Now, I've created 10 specific frameworks that I use and I've taught to other entrepreneurs that I work with in the most common aspects of the business. So the plug and play frameworks are going to be list builder, to build your list, grow your audience; monetization framework, which is going to be for like a premium one-day summit, so monetizing a list you already have; membership priming, increasing your membership activation; product launch priming; affiliate promotion strategy, so how to increase your success if you're going to be promoting somebody else's product or program; live event recruitment; physical product selling; and then of course the Fill Your Mastermind framework. And then we even have a book launch framework and a brick and mortar business if you're trying to get new customers, clients, or patients into a brick and mortar business. So the one-day summit can be used to drastically increase the results of each of these. Now, I don't have time to go through each of those frameworks, but you can actually get these plug and play frameworks. I'll put a link to them in the show notes over podcast.virtualsummits.com/6, so you can get those frameworks. But the one-day summit can be used to drastically increase the results of each of these. Great example of this is a few months ago, I was asked to support a launch with a friend in a niche that I didn't have any influence, or I didn't even have a list for, honestly. So I asked him what problem does his program solve for the audience. I then created a one-day summit solving that problem and are based around that problem, essentially. So I based it around that problem. I brought on 13 expert speakers that are on that topic, that are in that same industry and niche. I tapped into their audience, built a small list of about 3,000 emails. I turned around 3 weeks later and offered my friend's program through his program launch. I ended up taking 5th place in the affiliate sales contest out of 150 of the world's top online marketers and influencers. It was unbelievable. People were like, how in the world is this guy doing it? Because many of them have lists of hundreds of thousands, and they were doing ad spend of tens of thousands. I obviously had a much smaller list, and I almost no ad spend, and I was still able to outperform them because I use this affiliate promotion plug and play framework with a one-day summit. So again, you can grab those frameworks over in the show notes. So to wrap this up, this is going to wrap up this episode with on the One Day Summit and getting started. I'm a huge fan of the One Day Summit. Of course, I still run plenty of multi-day summits in my business every year, but when it comes to efficiency and ease of use, there's no better strategy than the One Day Summit formula. Now, if you're a newer entrepreneur or you haven't run any summits before or are looking for something that you can add super quick and easy to get some results right away, then this is obviously it. Now, again, I'm a big fan of multi-day summits, but I think you need to know which one's best for you. If you've never run a summit before, it's much better to get your experience and knowledge with a one-day summit. And if you're looking for ongoing strategies that you can implement maybe even quarterly or every other month, we implement a one-day summit quarterly. We do. If you're looking to target any of those other strategies, the plug and play frameworks, then the one-day summit is going to be there for you. You can't use the multi-day summit for many of those. However, a multi-day summit is still extremely powerful and effective for generating a massive list and awareness. Again, you can grab my one-day summit starter guide over in the show notes, podcast.virtualsummits.com/6. And guys, summit hosts here, look, I'm going to be giving you gems ongoing. I love this. This is like near and dear to my heart. I'm hoping you're getting massive value out of this because I'm giving away everything I got right here. And I'm going to continue to give you the best insights and gems that I have, that I've learned from doing over 25 summits, that I've learned from helping hundreds of students do the same. And I'm going to make sure that the interviews, the guests that I bring on, we're going to squeeze out all their secrets and insights. And I'm going to give that all to you here on this podcast for free. But I'm going to ask for one thing, just one thing, and I need your help. Please subscribe to this podcast and leave me a 5-star review. This helps me reach other summit hosts, which is exactly what I'm trying to do. I want to help more people and elevate the success of all summits across the board. So please, please, please subscribe right now. Just take 2 seconds, subscribe, leave me a 5-star review. And then go ahead and share this podcast with anyone you know who's done or wants to do summits. That's all I ask. Please do that. And then for those of you who want to get in touch with me, I'm always looking for feedback. If you've got questions, send those to me. Maybe we'll start doing a special Q&A monthly episode. If you want to be a guest on the podcast, reach out. And if you know someone I should interview, please put me in touch with them. You can do that by sending me an email, podcast@virtualsummits.com. Again, the email is podcast@virtualsummits.com. And again, head over to the show notes. We're going to have links to my one-day summit starter guide. We'll also have the virtual summit framework there, plug and play guide. And then of course you can access the virtual summit software for a free trial over there as well. Now, summit hosts, I want to end this episode by saying, I believe in you and you can do this. Summits are by far one of the most powerful ways to quickly grow your list, launch your platform, make more money, and most importantly, make an impact in the world for good, even if you're just getting started. Don't get caught up in analysis paralysis because the world needs to hear your message, and there are people who are waiting for you to help them. So just get started. Imperfect action is always better than no action. Thank you, and I'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks for listening. Now don't forget to subscribe and leave a 5-star review on the Virtual Summit podcast. Head over to the show notes to check out all the links and resources from this episode, and be sure to grab your free trial of the Virtual Summit software.
Now, I want to end this episode by saying to all the summit hosts listening right now, I believe in you, and you can do this. Summits are by far one of the most powerful ways to quickly grow your list, launch your platform, make more money, and most importantly, make an impact in the world, even if you're just getting started. So don't get caught up in analysis paralysis because the world needs to hear your message, and there are people who are waiting for you to help them. So just get started because imperfect action is always better than no action. Thank you, and see you on the next episode.